barbecued pork belly, house-cured pastrami, barbecued lamb shoulder, and smoked Manhattan. It's all part of the plan at the spectacular JW Marriott Star Pass Resort in Tucson, Arizona. I'm Stephen Raichlen. One of the things I like best about smoking is its ability to turn once undesirable cuts, like pork bellies,
For the barbecued pork belly, give me 2.5 3-pound pieces.
into gastronomic miracles. Bacon is all about smoke and salt. Barbecue is all about smoke and spice. They come together in this barbecued pork belly, remarkable for how it retains the sweet, meaty flavor of fresh pork. Start with a 3-pound pork belly. You can see it's covered with a thick sheath of fat. Ask your butcher to remove the skin. And you can see the striations of meat and fat, with meat on the underside. Using a sharp knife, score the surface of the pork belly in a crosshatch pattern. Make your cuts about 1/4 inch deep. This scoring will help the spice and smoke penetrate the pork belly and release some of the excess fat. And score the bottom of the pork belly the same way. What I like about pork belly is it goes beyond the bacon experience. Bacon is really about the salt, the cure, and the smoke. Pork belly is about the fresh, sweet taste of pork meat. We're using a pork belly from a Berkshire hog, sometimes called Kurabuta hog, raised for its luscious fat and rich meaty flavor. Next, the rub. It starts with ancho chili powder, salt, paprika, sugar, ground cumin, garlic powder, mustard powder, and 3 types of pepper: black pepper, white pepper, and cayenne pepper. Mix the ingredients for the rub with your fingers. Then sprinkle half the rub on the underside of the pork belly, rubbing it into the meat. Turn the belly over and rub the fat side of the pork belly the same way. When you buy pork belly, be sure to buy fresh pork belly, not salted. Otherwise, the meat would be unbearably salty. Now just lift up the belly to coat the edges with rub and place the pork belly back over ice. To smoke the pork belly, I'm using a ceramic cooker, sometimes called a Kamado-style cooker. I filled the firebox with charcoal and placed 2 fire starters in the center. Light the fire starters. Tent the fire starter with a couple of pieces of charcoal. The fire will spread gradually, giving you a long, slow burn. Place a few hardwood chunks on the fire to generate wood smoke. I'm using peach wood. Place the convector plate in the grill. This is how you indirect grill on a ceramic cooker. Then finally add the cooking grate. Place the pork belly fat side up on the grate. Then close the cooker and adjust the vents to obtain a temperature of 225 degrees. Cooking time, 3.5 to 4 hours. Ceramic smokers have the advantage of thick ceramic walls, which are very good for keeping a stable cooking temperature for a long period of time. They're actually great smokers if you live in the frost belt and you want to smoke during the winter. It's been 3.5 hours. Let's check on the pork belly. Look at that, gorgeous. It sure looks done, but you always want to check with an instant read meat thermometer. You want to be in the 170 to 175 range. Bingo! Let the pork belly rest for a few minutes before you cut into it. This relaxes the meat and makes it even more tender. Let's see how we did. So you want to cut the pork belly into strips about 1.5 inches wide. We even got a little bit of a smoke ring. I'll just cut a piece to taste. That is so moist and juicy. Light smoke, nice spice flavor. And what's really nice about Berkshire pork is it gives you such a luscious mouthfeel. What is smoke exactly, and how does it flavor foods? Smoke is a vaporous byproduct from burning wood and other organic materials. Contains solids, liquids, and gases. Hardwoods from deciduous trees like hickory and apple produce the best tasting smoke. Wood goes through 3 stages when you burn it. At 212 degrees, the water in the wood boils, releasing steam and producing carbon monoxide and nitrogen dioxide, compounds essential for the formation of the iconic smoke ring in briskets and other smoked meats. At 340 degrees, pyrolysis begins, releasing formic acid and acetic acid. These provide a flavor base. At 390 degrees, the smoke taste mellows as pyrolysis produces carbanols, aromatic molecules responsible for the yellow, brown, and dark red colors of smoked foods. At 570 degrees, the smoke develops a more complex flavor, producing phenols. These include creosol, a peat-like flavor one associates with Scotch whiskey, isoeugenol, the clove and other spice flavors in smoke, and vanillin, a vanilla-like sweetness. At 750 degrees, the wood blackens and smoke production peaks. This is your smoking sweet spot, with the highest concentration of phenols that add color and taste to the food. At 1800 degrees, the wood ignites and the flavor-producing compounds cease. The burning wood becomes an agent for cooking, no longer for smoking. Like bacon, pastrami is a dish most people would never think of making at home. But in fact, if you have a little time, it's very easy. The traditional cut of meat for pastrami is beef navel. This is a cut from the underbelly of the steer. It's sort of the beef equivalent of bacon, and you can see the broad striations of fat, and meat. Now prepare the brine. Bring half the water to a boil in a large stock pot. Then add your salt, 1 teaspoon of pink curing salt, sometimes called Prague powder. It's added as a preservative, and it's responsible for the inviting pink color of pastrami. Now add 1/2 onion cut in quarters and a handful of garlic cloves cut in half. Whisk these ingredients together until the salt dissolves. Then shock chill the brine with an equal amount of ice water. Once the brine has cooled to room temperature, pour it over the beef navel. Now cover the beef navel with plastic wrap. You can also do this in a heavy-duty resealable plastic bag. And cure the pastrami in the refrigerator for 10 days, turning it over each day. So here's the beef navel after it has cured for 10 days. You can see the meat has already started to take on that pink color. What you want to do is rinse the beef navel in cold water and blot it dry with paper towels. Next step, prepare the rub. The primary flavors of the rub are black pepper and coriander seed. And coarsely grind them. Next, add mustard seeds, brown sugar, and powdered ginger. And mix the ingredients for the rub with your fingers. It's a really interesting combination, the spice of the black pepper, the sweetness of the coriander. It's one of the defining flavors of pastrami. Come back to your dried beef navel. Sprinkle half the rub on the bottom, massaging it into the meat. Then turn the beef navel over and put the remaining rub on the top and on the sides. So you're probably wondering where pastrami got its name. I found out a few years ago at a meat market in Istanbul. I saw long strips of spice-cured meat hanging from the rafters. They called it basturma, and it's popular throughout the Middle East and Turkey. As basturma migrated westward, it took on the name pastrami. To smoke the pastrami, I'm using an electric smoker. Electric smokers are great for long, slow smokes for maintaining a consistent temperature. I've fueled the smoker with apple wood. It comes in the form of these sawdust discs. Simply place them in the hopper. Set the temperature to 225 degrees. Put the pastrami in the smoker. Cooking time, about 8 hours. Target internal temperature, 195 degrees. Electric smokers are really as close as you get to set it and forget it type smokers. Ideal for people who are results oriented. They want smoked food, they enjoy the convenience of turn of a knob heat control and push button fueling and ignition. It's been 8 hours, and look at that pastrami. It's killer. You always want to check the internal temperature. I'll insert an instant read meat thermometer, 192, 195, we're there. Take out the pastrami. Okay, the moment of truth. Look at that gorgeous crimson pink color. It slices beautifully. And I suppose we could do a deli classic. Mustard on rye bread. And then we'll lay on some pastrami. This is a pastrami sandwich. That pepper and coriander crust, it's salty, but not too salty. The generous marbling gives it a luscious mouthfeel. So there you have it. From the Middle East to the deli to Project Smoke. It's home-cured, home-smoked pastrami. Up next, barbecued lamb shoulder.
5 grills going. A lot of things to kind of get going ahead of time.
Smoky, smoky.
So it's lamb shoulder, just salt and pepper, and then smoked slow for 8 to 10 hours. Then we're brushing it with this Worcestershire vinegar mix to keep it moist and flavored as it goes.
Lamb isn't the first meat that comes to mind when you think of barbecue, unless you come from Owensboro, Kentucky, where for 2 centuries, barbecue has meant mutton. I give you the Project Smoke twist on a bluegrass state classic, barbecued lamb shoulder with black dip. It starts with an 8-pound lamb shoulder. This one is organic and comes from a small farm in Pennsylvania. Season the lamb generously on all sides with coarse salt and freshly ground black pepper. This blue circle, by the way, is a USDA seal of approval. Let me show you the smoker. To cook the lamb, I'm using an offset barrel smoker. It has a firebox set slightly lower than the cook chamber. I built a bed of charcoal embers, and to generate wood smoke, I'll lay a hickory log on the fire. And this is the smoke chamber where you'll do the actual cooking. You can see there is a metal baffle. This baffle slides back and forth, and it's designed to equalize the temperature. Remember, the smoke chamber is going to be a lot hotter at the fire end than the chimney end. So put the lamb shoulder in the smoke chamber, meaty side toward the fire. Kentucky-style lamb shoulder actually gets 2 sauces. The first is a basting mixture. It starts with boiling water, cider vinegar, Worcestershire sauce. It seems like an excessive amount of salt, but remember, this is just washed over the lamb. Then freshly squeezed lemon juice, and I squeeze it through my fingers to catch any seeds. Then you can toss the lemon rind right in the dip. Finally, black pepper. Bring this mixture to a boil. I like to keep the basting mixture right in the smoke chamber. The lamb is coming along nicely. So to baste, dip a mop in the basting mixture and swab it on the lamb. And I will do this for each and every hour the lamb cooks, 8 to 10 hours in all. Next, the black dip. Similar ingredients to the basting sauce, but different proportions. It starts with boiling water, Worcestershire sauce, cider vinegar, brown sugar, onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper, allspice, and more lemon juice. Bring this mixture to a boil and whisk it to incorporate the ingredients. It's been 9 hours. The lamb shoulder should be done, and is that beautiful or what? You can see that the meat has shrunk back from the shoulder blade and the shank bone here by about 1 inch. So it should be done, but of course, it's always good to check. You're looking for 190 degrees. Right on target. Let the lamb rest 10 minutes. Meanwhile, butter some sesame hamburger buns. Then install the grill grate over the firebox. So you can toast the buns right over the fire. It's super quick. The lamb should be ready. Oh, look at that. It just pulls apart so easily. And check out that smoke ring. The red badge of honor of pitmasters everywhere. Pull the meat off the bones and take out any excess fat. get rid of all these bones and scraps. And these are called meat claws. I'm going to use the meat claws to tear the lamb into these meaty shreds. Oh man, this looks so good. That red, folks, is not rare lamb. The lamb is actually well done. That red is the smoke rate. Then place a mound of the shredded lamb on each bun. Now ladle some black dip over the lamb. Ugh, I am getting so hungry. This is outstanding. It's in the barbecue family, but lamb has a totally different flavor than a smoked pulled pork shoulder. And the black dip, mostly tart, cuts the fattiness of the lamb. This is an astonishing sandwich. I'm always amazed at smoke's ability to give you an entirely new perspective on a dish or drink you've enjoyed for decades. Case in point, the Manhattan. Start by pouring 2 ounces of bourbon or rye whiskey in a shaker glass. Add 1 ounce of red vermouth and 2 shots of your favorite bitters. Next, cover the shaker glass with plastic wrap, leaving one edge open. To smoke the whiskey, you'll use a handheld smoking device. Fill the smoke chamber with the hardwood sawdust of your choice. I'm using apple. Now switch the smoking device on and ignite the sawdust. When you see the smoke come out of the tube, place it in the bar glass and fold over the plastic wrap to tightly cover. Switch off the smoking device and let the Manhattan infuse with smoke for 4 minutes. I sure am thirsty. Uncover the glass. Stir in the smoke. Then add ice. And stir the Manhattan vigorously. Now place a hawthorn strainer over the shaker glass and strain the Manhattan. Add 1 maraschino cherry. Intensely smoky, sophisticated, and utterly different. I hope you've enjoyed today's show on bellies and shoulders. Barbecued pork belly, house-cured pastrami, smoked lamb shoulder with black dip, and a smoky Manhattan. I'm Stephen Raichlen. See you next time. I'm Stephen Raichlen. Thanks for joining us. That's great, Gary.